There's quantum computing where there are public companies that are
Right.
saying
You're a bear on quantum computing, right?
yes, it's a very interesting field. My partner is not a huge expert. She taught with Scott Aronson, who is the quantum expert at MIT. And as a compute company, OpenAI has huge interest in compute. I've always had this interest in quantum computing, especially vis-a-vis Bitcoin. I think it's all largely a scam. There are publicly traded companies that are saying things that are palpable lies. They're 100% lies. They're not going to go to jail because they're safe harbor statements. They're saying things like, well, one company is a gumption to say, we expect we'll beat NVIDIA within 2 or 3 years, which is totally insane. And quantum computers don't have algorithms to do that. They have one algorithm that can speed up decryption. That's real, but they can't do matrix multiplications or list sorting or like anything like that. We're so far away. We're decades away. Got the CEO that said that. The founder of the company simultaneously was saying it's 30 years away. That's a crime right there.
The reason why people love quantum computing, it's kind of easy to fall in love with. First of all, it's a fantastic name, right? It's a great
That's
branding,
the number one
right?
reason, I think.
You like quantum, you like computing, put them together. You could see why we all fall in love with the story. We want it to happen, right?
Especially now because NVIDIA is a $5 trillion company. And that is enough to get people's imagination going and what's next. If it's a 10 billion market cap as a public company, that's still 5x upside if it's the next NVIDIA. So it's worth taking a flyer on. I'm actually really excited about optical computing. It's ironic because it's a lot easier to do than quantum, and it's a lot more needed right now, but it's still sort of underground and not well known, but I think it's going to happen.
We need a better name. Optical just doesn't sound catchy. Yeah. Photonic computing. All of a sudden, every company in optical computing would have a 5x valuation.
I think you're right.
They called it photonic.
And NVIDIA is doing it a little bit themselves. You're hearing every day on Wall Street about co-packaged optics. There are lasers going to chips. All the interconnects are optical. All the data in the world is moved on fiber. We're actually more optical than we think. It's just the processors that don't do it yet. What I discovered, which is really ironic, is the MATMUL, the matrix multiplication. I did some GPU programming for a few years before we really got Godel solidified. We tried to compete with 11 labs. We tried to do a few things that didn't work that great, but I got to know GPUs really well. And 99% of the GPU time is spent doing MATMULs. There is one way to do MATMULs really fast. Light does them naturally.
Let's say you are bearish on a company. You think it's overhyped. You want to short it. In today's world, shorting just seems super risky. A lot of these stocks are memes. How do you do it in a way that you feel good about it in this weird market that we're in?
I'll take you back to 98. Number one answer, it goes back to every question in finance. Simplest answer is don't be greedy. Everyone that messes this up, including myself, is just too greedy. Go back to 98, 99. The two most powerful hedge funds in the world are Soros and Tiger. They made 30, 40% a year since the 80s. They both fold. In 2000, Soros quits. Lee and Robertson quit, started the Tiger Cub movement. And the fund I worked for was up 40% that year from Kramer's hedge fund. And the fund I would go to work for next was a Tiger Cub that was up over 150% that year. And I think some of it's luck. At the timing, you sort of like weighed out, like, when is there really the most fever pitch, most euphoria? Maybe you pick on the worst zip code in the worst neighborhood or the worst house in the worst zip code or something. Part of it is like, just don't be greedy. Instead of making it a 10% position, which could blow up your whole fund or your portfolio, why not a 1% position? And the answer is, well, I want more money. I want to make bigger return.
You're weighting it by the Kelly criterion or something like that, right? And the question is just the Kelly criterion is based on some sort of percentage. And the problem is, okay, you may just be over optimistic about that percentage. Maybe you should just do the Kelly criterion and then divide it by 5.
A lot of people do half Kelly or quarter Kelly criteria. And I think that's fine. I think factor analysis is the only way to invest these days. If you're short a high momentum stock, you must correspondingly be long something high momentum. So what I would do is I went long Palantir as sort of a hedge to quantum, even though they have nothing to do with each other. They share this high flyer kind of quotient or factor.
Yeah,
so,
like a Tesla too, like all those things.
Yeah, and then you have, well, the problem with those two is now you have market cap quotient or market cap factor that you're not hedging. Now you need to hedge with small caps or other large caps.
Yeah,
you sort of have this balancing
or something, right?
And then that's what's called alpha. What most people find is after you do all that, your returns go to zero. So
totally. And then I made less than a bronze or something.
That factor happens today, and the last few days, that factor happens to have come all the way back. Quantum stocks have gotten decimated. It's this very unpredictable thing. But the basic answer is, if I gave myself more time and I gave myself more leeway, I would have made a lot of money. Most people know I
Yeah.
panicked and capitulated because I did make it a 10% position.
And I guess when you naked short, you have unlimited liability. You could cap that and you just pay a little bit more to cap it and it's all good. You
You
know?
can cap it, or you can just say, look, at 1%, what are the odds the stock will go up 100x on me and I
Right,
can't get
right.
out? That's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
unlikely.
yeah, yeah.
And,
And you just know once your losses are X, you just get out, right?
yeah,
So,
greed will always be the one thing that
but that's
causes
we're
financial
humans, we're
problems.
greedy, and even if we're not greedy, when things are going well, there's a
The
FOMO
hubris.
and there's
Yeah.
other things. Yeah, hubris. Those are so uniquely human.
This
Maybe
is
an
why
AI will get around to
quantitative
this
trading
thing.
is so great. Even though quantitative investing, the machines are not as smart as us for now. That's obviously going to change. They're extremely unemotional. So
Yeah,
whenever I have a stop loss, I'm sitting there saying, no, I don't want to get out. This is admitting
yeah.
failure. You actually have to train yourself to do the opposite. You get excited. You're like, I'm glad I got stopped out of that.
Yeah, Buffett famously went into tech stocks in 2000 because all he was missing out in a way. Even Buffett, right?
I think that many people did get lured into the 2000 sort of tech trap. I think Buffett was actually the one who sort of stayed away from it. But look at AI. I mean, you're going to see lots of people sort of FOMO into AI. And you know the VCs that have and haven't, and you feel the most FOMO at the top. And that's when the company gets a maximum valuation, they raise the most amount of money. This happened in the dot-com bubble. It'll never stop happening.
Bubbles are not a bug. They're a kind of a feature in a way, right? It fuels a lot of innovation that happens. Obviously, that means you're often at the top, you're spending money that's ROI negative at the top. But on your way there, it can really help the world. Sometimes it doesn't help those companies. It doesn't always help those investors who are doing it. But laying all that fiber in the late 90s was really good. Even if all those companies went under, it was really good for the country.
Yeah, it's funny. When Jensen Huang said quantum's 30 years away, all the quantum stocks dropped 50% in one day. It was a great day
Oh
for
my
me.
gosh. I didn't know.
And then he went on, I think it was GTC, and said, I didn't even know they were public. There is something beneficial to bubbles in the sense that they get a lot of attention and they force people to like sharpen their lens a bit and say, is this real? Is this not real? And nuclear is one for me. I don't know nuclear from a hole in the wall, but when I see these companies like Oklo and others, like the amazing valuations, I actually start to think, okay, well, maybe energy is important. And of course it's
Yeah,
important,
yeah, yeah,
but
totally. Yeah.
it makes you sort of think about it and energy policy today in the White House is very important. What should we do about quantum computing? Is there something that's important there? They think that, maybe there's little pieces, but the important thing right now is do map moles really fast. So we'll see how PA with NVIDIA will look, but I think that optics, could be one way to do it. And then other than that, I think Godel, we're getting close to a public launch where we're going to sort of start advertising and marketing. We haven't done any marketing and we have a good revenue run
It's
rate
amazing. Yeah.
and we're very lucky, but we're now going to start turning to demand generation. It's something that I'm very nervous about because selling drugs is very easy. You almost have to do almost no demand generation. And the doctors know
Yeah.
your job as doctor is to know what drugs are available. You kind of give a little bit of a hint. Software is wildly the opposite. There's a perfect solution for your problem. You just don't know what it is.
So you can continually make it better.